The new Season 3 has kicked off and it is freaking nuts. A lot of character changes have come out of nowhere, so in this video we're actually going to break down 6 heroes that you should consider playing and maining this season if you want to whip it out and climb the ranked ladder. But do me a huge solid and smash that like, subscribe, and if you want private coaching to improve like so many already have, check out my Patreon, links will be in the description down below. Now, the first character that we got to talk about is a strange suggestion, but I think in the right composition, she's actually pretty good, and it's Brig. Now, the Brig change that is so important is the fact that now when you armor pack, you give someone 25 health instantly, which is a really big deal and helps Brig become that ultra bodyguard that we already talked about she's very good at. So Brig's primary playstyle is to deny the opponent from being able to kill your immobile other DPS and support. So think like an Ana or a Cassidy, characters that really have to play positionally very well. Brig can help to get the divers off those characters and protect them. And especially when there's characters like Tracer and Wrecking Ball flying around, a Brig that can just bail out a Cassidy and an Ana out of nowhere is actually really powerful, and you can keep a lot of people alive with Brig. Now, I don't think that Brig is like the best character in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think she's a lot better than she was previously, and this change is a big deal that you become like the ultimate protector of your team, capable of bailing out players all around the battlefield. That extra insta burst of 25 health can be a really great way to give your teammates the leg up in a 1v1 or when they're getting dove. Now, the next character that we got to talk about is Sigma, and Sigma just plays really well into a lot of the characters that are good. Like, characters like Cassidy are very strong. Even Zen, which we're going to talk about in a bit, and snipers are also very powerful. And Sigma also plays really well into like maps that are added into the map pool, like Havana, for instance. Sigma is a character that outputs a ton of pressure. As long as you have characters that can play with you and keep divers off you, you have the means to stun characters like Wrecking Ball, zone away problematic DPS characters, and put the matter into your own hands with a very powerful ultimate and your burst damage. I can see Sigma's stock skyrocketing in this season, and he's very powerful depending on the map. Not great for Koth maps specifically, but for the vast majority of payload maps, Sigma is just a powerhouse, and he's definitely a tank that I would highly suggest you putting into your hero pool. The next character that we got to talk about is undoubtedly Soldier 76, and Soldier 76 getting those recoil changes makes this character a freaking beam. If you can aim decently well, now you can aim like you got goddamn aimbot. And Soldier 76 is incredibly powerful, capable of playing in a vast variety of different compositions, including a dive composition. He could play really well even in a brawl composition, taking off angles, taking that high ground. And the key to Soldier is being what you need to be in any given situation, and ultimately trying to find isolated situations where you can burst down enemy DPS and engage in a 1v1, or out of nowhere jump enemy supports and kill them as well. Soldier is incredibly self-sufficient. He can get out of situations on a dime because of his mobility, and he has burst damage. All of this kind of goes together to make Soldier just that all-in-one catch-all character that is super powerful in this season. I'm actually going to be doing a Soldier 76 breakdown and guide, so if you want to master this character even further, smash that like and subscribe so you don't miss that video. And let's move on to number 3 on the list, which is actually Zenyatta. Now, Zenyatta did receive a slight buff here. He got a little bit of ammo, but his fundamental weaknesses aren't changed all that much. However, I want you to understand how powerful Discord Orb is and can be in the right compositions or against the right characters. Now, Zen is still very pressured by divers, Wrecking Ball, and even Tracer. However, when you put a Discord on a target, having divers on your team can basically enable them to delete them out of nowhere. Zen is fantastic in the pressure mirrors, like let's say it is an Orisa versus Orisa or Ramattra v Ramattra, and he's one of the few supports that can actually pressure a Widow, which is just insanely strong to be able to do. If you're playing him with a dive composition, as long as you make sure to call your Discord target, communicate it to your team, or ping it, you can just delete so many things in the backline, and then you can easily wipe the enemy team by discording players that are left alive. Now, the hardest thing to do on Zen is to play around a lot of your natural predators, but really great positioning and general awareness about where the enemies are so that you can constantly be backing up away from objectives and backing to a place that is safe so that your opponents have to travel through more and more open space to get to you is the best way to stay alive when you're playing this character. But of course, if you want a Zen in-depth guide, I would love to break it down for you. Just let me know down below if interested. Now, the next character that I gotta suggest to you in this video is actually Doomfist at the number 2 spot. And I know a lot of you think that Doomfist is really bad, but I want to explain to you why Doomfist is actually really powerful if he's in the right hands. It all really comes down to Doomfist matchups, and there are 2 matchups that are pretty bad for Doomfist, and it's Orisa and Roadhog, 2 characters that are going to see less play in this season than they have in the past. Not unplayable by any means, and these characters, especially Orisa, are going to see a rampant amount of play. But against every other tank matchup, whether it's Sigma or Zarya or even Wrecking Ball or any of the other tanks, Doomfist has game against. And it really comes down to the fact that you can alter your playstyle depending on the composition you're up against. So if you're up against a comp that can kill you out of nowhere, maybe heavy CC, sleep, snipers, or maybe the enemy tank is on an Orisa or a Hog or something like that, then Doomfist has to go in as like a surgical assassin. Generate a charge punch, go in, try to kill someone with his punch or hit huge punches, and then get out safely. That's what Doom is trying to. That's his role. But up against dive compositions, maybe with a Winston or a Wrecking Ball or a Tracer, he's not necessarily trying to get a surgical kill. I mean, you'll take it if you see it, but it's pretty hard to pull that off. What you're trying to do instead is cause disruption. And you do that a lot with your slams. You do that a lot by brawling away a lot of these tanks and DPS, like a Wrecking Ball coming in. If you time it right, you can punch him before he slams. You can slam characters like Tracer and disrupt them if they're trying to kill your team and generate a ton of shields in the process. Basically, you become the ultimate disruptor, and just by you staying alive and disrupting the enemy team, you generate a ton of value. So Doom can do this thing where he plays both sides of the field, and that makes him really strong, only in the right hands though. Another character that I'm thinking about making a guide on. There's a lot of characters I gotta make a guide on. Yeah, there's just a lot, but Doom is really strong. Do not sleep on this tank, I promise you. Now, last but certainly not least, we gotta talk about Cassidy. Of course, we're gonna talk about Cassidy. Cassidy got the biggest buff out of anyone on the patch notes. It's freaking nuts. Cassidy is insanely strong right now. He is going to be good in compositions that want to play in that close to mid range. Not great against some of the snipers that are played, but if you play around natural cover, you can find an opportunity to burst them down out of nowhere because you can 2-tap a lot of characters from really far away if you're accurate. On top of that, Cassidy's grenade cannot be understated. Capable of bursting down any DPS that gets in a close effective range. I think Cassidy just outputs a ton of damage, pressure, can kill people out of nowhere, and forces enemies to play at a distance. There's a lot to love about this character as an anti-dive pick, and basically in every composition that is not a dive, Cassidy is going to be a fantastic character to play and main this season. But of course, these are just characters that I think are underrated or that I suggest you try out and play. But my full breakdown tier list on DPS tanks and supports won't be coming for at least a week or two because I want to make sure that I have the full information about what is good and bad before I break it all down and suggest what is the best and worst. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely smash the like, subscribe if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.